This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Welcome to Phoenix Rising Radio. Now is the time to lift your mind higher. Now is the time to rise above. I am your host, Phoenix, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Good evening and welcome, everyone. This is Phoenix. I hope you guys are doing well. It is Thursday, October 26, 2017. Oh, yeah. Month is almost gone. We're almost out of October. We were only, 5 days away till Halloween, All Hallows Eve. Big holiday here in the United States. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things this evening. Myself and NeSe, who's on the line also, joining us live, and we're going to be talking about Hollywood. We're going to be talking about horror movies. We're going to be talking about satanic origins of Hollywood and some of the funky things that are going on. And I don't know, a little bit of everything. How's it going, NeSe?
It is cold, and it's like winter's coming or something up here in the northern tundra. I have some weary travelers that are thinking about hunkering down here for the night because we're expecting some heavy snows, and we're already getting some wind gusts ups into the 40s, 45 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And that gets a little chilly when it cuts through all of your clothes.
Mm-hmm. How cold's it supposed to get up there tonight?
I actually haven't even checked what the temperature is, but it's going to be warm enough where it's going to snow and possibly go a little bit back and forth of snow and sleet. So it's not getting, it's just at that point where the snow is going to come, just waiting to break and fill us full of multi-feet of snow in the next ice age.
The next ice age. I tell you what, we are actually due for one of those, and we'll do a program on that. It has to do with the solar cycle. The solar minimum, it's a certain solar minimum. They happen every 12 years or so, but this cycle is a big one. And it's an intense one. It's a solar minimum that happens every, I believe it's, 200, it's either 204 or 206 years. And the interesting thing about this cycle, they always bring extreme cold temperatures. Things get very, very cold, and it's almost like a mini ice age. But also, to exasperate that problem, it is a massive increase of volcanic activity and earthquake activity. And as a matter of fact, the historical records, as far back as they can tell, the New Madrid earthquake fault zone here in the United States and North America has never failed to go off and erupt. and have massive earthquakes during these 206-year cycles. So we're due for a lot of seismic activity worldwide, not just there, but globally, and also volcanic activity. And as you know, the volcanic activity, when it kicks all the ash and everything into the atmosphere, it exasperates the cold cycle even more so. So, yeah, we may be entering into a mini ice age.
Well, I would probably be the last person this month to be asked of what should the outcome of the humane beings. Well, no, let me take that back. What the outcome should be for the human beings on this planet. I have plenty of great suggestions for the humane beings that remember the miracles they are. But yeah, I love the cold. I love the winter, but wheelchairs and snow just isn't such a good thing. I'd like to get a dog sled where I could just roll my chair up into the back of it and lock it in and just say mush.
Yeah, but since you're blind, how would that work? I mean, you'd have to have some really good dogs. They'd have to know exactly where they need to go, because it's not like you're going to be cruising along your dog sled with a real long cane sticking out in front of the thing.
GPS.
GPS. There you go. Yeah.
And that crazy lone stud missile would go off track and it'd find me somewhere, huh?
Yeah, it's weird stuff going on all over the world.
Are you getting ready for Halloween, Phoenix? Do you celebrate?
No, we don't. We just hang out. We don't do any. I don't go to parties. Don't do that social thing. And we're in such a position that kids don't even come around and trick or treat. But that's okay. But we do know, that everybody in the nation, not everybody, but a lot of people. It's a big holiday here in the United States. And, a lot of candy sold, a lot of parties happening, a lot of costumes. And it's a really kind of interesting holiday because it was originally a Christian holiday, a Celtic holiday from Ireland and Scotland. And they would observe All Hallows Eve, which was the night that the dead and the those who had deceased would come out before All Hallows Day, which is November 1st, which is a holy day. And they would protect themselves from the spirits that might be wandering the earth by carving out turnips and small gourds and putting candles in them, make ghoulish faces to scare away the evil. And it's been hijacked and taken from a religious holiday into a holiday other than, well, I guess it is another form of religion, satanic. And it's been, was accepted as one of the high evil days, because I guess you have to have both parties play part in this, the All Hallows or the All Holy Day, and then the evil souls. And you have people who empower themselves in the evil soul side of it. But then again, there's a childhood innocence to all of it also. And this is where it requires us as you so fondly say, humane beings, to stay balanced in all things, not be judgmental in things, and to find pleasure in all things, no matter what was intended with all things.
Well, I will be the first to admit that I am a big fan of Halloween. Since I was a little kid, one of my first wants of a job was to be a Hollywood makeup artist, because I was fascinated with, how do you make the special effects, and being a fan of the horror genre, it was just even more of a want, because how do they make that realistic blood and guts? And now, many, many years later, I look at that, and when I hear of these horror movies and stuff, there's part of me that sometimes pondered, are they really murdering people in Hollywood and filming it? And we just think it's such great special effects? Because when you really take the time to delve into Hollywood, you find, for lack of semantics, which we kind of sometimes get into or we try to avoid, if we could just call it evil things are occurring. A lot of people will say Satan, or the devil or Lucifer, but I just call it evil or fear-based. And there's some crazy, crazy things in Hollywood, and especially at this time of year, where I do also believe that they are doing rituals, whether trying to do incantations or even trying to get some of the viewers to get so plugged into the movie that they don't realize that they're tapped in, and they open a portal. Your eyes, black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain of terror? Because we have our eyes, and we look at these televisions and computers, and we see these frequencies and pixels that can easily be manipulated to interfere with our average thinking.
Yeah, I tell you what, it is, and you are correct. It's a long line of that type of activity. As a matter of fact, Hollywood itself, the name Hollywood, the magician's wand was made from Hollywood, and they used this Hollywood to entrance and put spells upon the population. I had read a story, and it's really hard to find, but David Bowie, who was the musician, artist, etc., who died, I guess, a year or so ago of cancer, he was living in Hollywood with his wife, and he wanted to live out there. They bought a very famous house that had belonged to an undisclosed actor or actress. They wouldn't even specify which one. And the woman recounts the story of something odd that happened, that there was an indoor pool in the house, in like a wing of the house, and that something would glow, and sometimes the water would move, and it would look like the water was glowing at night, and they sensed a presence. So according to her, David Bowie didn't want to, he loved the house. He didn't want to leave the house, but he didn't want that there. So he didn't want to tell anybody about it. So he got some type of books or something on how he would possibly get rid of what this evil presence was, that they could both sense it was evil. And according to her, he went through and started some type of ritual, set it up, did as he was instructed to do, and this woman says that the water lit up like lights from underneath. It was like it was boiling, and something very large and very evil come bursting out of the pool and was like up above the water. And they both ran out of there, and it was like an explosion of light and stuff. And they moved not long after that, and they didn't want to like cause any problems, so they never disclosed to anybody what happened, and they wouldn't disclose the exact location of the house. But she had actually told that story in an interview one time, and it was in Hollywood. And there was a lot of weird and funky things that have gone on over the decades in Hollywood. And it wouldn't surprise me either that they would be doing human sacrifice, because look at the pedophilia thing. This Corey Feldman, he's coming out right now, and he's going to expose pedophiles, high-ranking, high-level, wealthy pedophiles in Hollywood, and his life is being threatened, man. People are trying to kill this guy. He's a guy. He's not a kid anymore.
Well, oh yeah, absolutely. And I think it's Radcliffe, the guy who played Harry Potter. He echoed the exact same words of Feldman on saying that the worst problem in Hollywood and in the movie industry and this star industry is the abuse of children, the sexual abuse of children. And as you were talking earlier about the ancient wizards and sorcerers and witches, when they cast their illusions and lies and spells and tricks with the Hollywood wand, not only that, but when they originally did the landscaping and mapped out the roads, they brought in Druid priest to come up and set up the best way that these roads would lay to get the greatest abundance of energy from what they call ley lines in the earth.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. You know, even the Hollywood sign, it's an icon. Everybody listening to this program knows what I'm talking about. Even if you've never seen it, you know the Hollywood signs on the Hollywood Hills there above the city. Kind of funky looking, you know, they did it years ago, and it's, you know, not everything in line, but there it is. And I guess they've redone it a few times over the years. That's noted to be haunted. And there have actually been starlets particularly, that have committed suicide there. And because of whatever reasons, drug, alcohol abuse, or just, you know, mental problems, social problems. But that's even claimed to be haunted. And there's a lot of hauntings going on there, a lot of trapped souls in that area, in these old houses that are there. Now, again, this goes on for a long time, baby. We're talking about back in the days of the silent films. I mean, when all of this started, I mean, this has beginnings that are way back there.
Well, and then even if you look at the blatant acts of debauchery that these elitists or these stars get out of because of their fame and fortune, that they actually have, you know, what they call cleaners, like in the movie Pulp Fiction, where oh my God, I just forgot his name, Harvey Keitel. He plays what is called like a fixer, where he's being paid millions of dollars. And if it's in the situation of, oh, I got a hooker that just OD'd, or I just did this, that, or the other thing, publicists and agents will call these people and bring them in these extreme cases. Just a prime example, when Heath Ledger died, how many people know that one of the Olsen twins was seen being whisked out of the hotel before the announcement of his death? You know, and these strange murders and stuff. And like you said, the Black Dahlia, you know, where a woman got horribly chopped up into pieces.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the ritualistic, when you look into the iconography or the symbology within these movies, it's worse than product placement. A prime example is if you look at Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick was a fanatic when it comes to placement in his shots. Nothing within his shot was just coincidental. Everything had some kind of meaning to it. And if you go in, one of my favorite YouTube videos is Illuminati Watcher, Isaac, and he does some great breakdowns of the iconography of the symbolism within these Hollywood movies, and they literally go back to black and white movies, just like Phoenix was saying.
Yeah, I tell you what, they've become masters of this. The use of the imagery and the sound. I mean, but they became masters of the imagery during the silent movies, because they had to maximize upon that, you know, the visual effects, because the visual effects were just augmented by many times the way it originally was set up. When you would go to a movie, back when they were, you know, not talkies, if you will, they were the silent movies. They had someone there, a small band, like a little small orchestra or piano player, and a score would actually come with the reel. And the movie theater would play it, and the musicians would play the score, and it went along with the imagery. And of course, the sounds, you know, augmented it and accentuated it, but it was the visual that really got people. And what you're saying with that is so true. It's almost like a hypnotic thing. that, I'm not a real big movie fan. I have to tell you, man. I just really am not, and I never have been. I've, watched a lot of movies, but I will guarantee you there are people, that there are people out there 20 years old who have watched more movies than I have. And I'll guarantee you I'm a long way from 20. I mean, I'm not a movie guy. I would rather read. There are really good movies that I have seen, but I have just never had the desire. Every once in a while, something will catch my eye, and I really like, and I like some of the old iconic movies. Case in point, Space Odyssey, 2001, Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay door, Hal.
Yeah, fantastic movie. I mean, that tells a lot. You were talking about Kubrick and the images and everything. I mean, it's really intense. I like old movies, some of the older movies, the old classics. I would rather watch a movie from the 30s than one that was made this year, just to be frank.
Well, and there is kind of this nostalgia of the old black and white movies where seemingly it had this kind of class to it. However, if you look at the conditioning or the desensitization that we've become because we are all Devo, de-evolution, and it just gets a little bit more heinous and a little bit more heinous. I believe that there is some kind of international or galaxy-wide law that says you can do whatever you wish to somebody else, but if they tell you to stop, then you have to stop. And I believe that the powers that should not be utilize the media to tell us what is occurring. That they put it in very subversively, and now it's absolutely blatant. And as the show progresses, I'm going to pull out, my favorite in your face of symbolism and iconography. And my first one that I highly recommend is called The Brotherhood of the Wolf. A fantastic cinematography, and I saw this movie when I was able to see. Fantastic movie. But the storyline of the movie is that there's a beast that is endangering and scaring the countryside, and you find out, is the beast a natural beast or was it created for nefarious realms? And it's really kind of locking into the French Revolution, and a lot of little gold nuggets of how I believe that the power should not be. They create the monsters, and sometimes the monsters go awry, and we get like the Gacy's that get made of an example of because they went beyond the realms of what they were told to do.
Yeah, but the problem is they have gradually expanded those realms to the point that, the society has changed socially. Socially, our entire society has changed, and, it is not by accident that it was done by the power of the movies, the theater, the televisions. And again, I've touched upon it before, the televisions themselves, this falls right into it, and even more so now with Netflix and everybody watching televisions, and everyone just like so obsessed, man, with these flat screen TVs. Yeah, I have one, but it's not huge, and it's not even in the main part of the house. It's like in the bedroom, and like watch some news or breaking things or weather or whatever. Yeah, it's like right there. But man, people are just obsessed with these things. They're like a point of worship. It's, George Orwell was just like, if he were alive today, the man would be like in his glory. He'd like be walking around with a shirt like, told you so, told you so. I mean, it's just like everywhere, the television's everywhere. And I truly do believe there's frequencies, and I know there are, the technology that goes along with it, to control people's minds. And they do it through the movies. They started subtly. And, back in the day when people realized they were doing subliminal images in the movies, there's just like one or two little images per like one frame every so often. And, like that was a big scandal. But it's real, man. It's real. And they've gone way beyond that. They have tapped into something, and they have socially engineered our society.
In the documentary called American Under Siege, when they talk a little bit about mind control and behavior modification, manipulation, they talk about how they have these algorithms that will generate pixels in certain patterns, and they claim that through these patterns of pixels on your screen, that they can literally tap into your consciousness and subconsciousness. And just like you were saying in the old times where they would do these manipulations of the movie screens, where they would quick microsecond have drink something or buy popcorn or buy Coke, and it's literally documented that the crowd during these times, these experiences, we're buying more popcorn and buying more Coke. So what point is it where it says, don't listen to your parents, don't listen to authority, and we don't even know that this is occurring?
Exactly. And it is occurring. And another thing that's occurring, we're rolling up on a break right now. And so everyone tune in to the commercial break so you can get your instructions for what you should do and what you should think.
Real people, real radio.
Initiating the truth frequency.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Stop looking down and start looking up, because things are getting brighter even though the days are getting darker. We are here at Phoenix Rising with Phoenix and me, Ney Sey, and welcome back to your regular scheduled programming. Tonight we're talking about Hollywood and what are those rascals doing to our minds and to our children, and adding to the complacency of the civilized nation?
Yeah, I tell you what, this is a mastery. It's an art. And to even think about the power of the media, it's been used for generations. And I mean, even the allegory of the cave by Plato, which talks about the flickering images on the wall and the people that are trapped and who can only see in one direction, and there's a fire behind them which illuminates the wall in front of them, but in between the fire and them, they can't see. There are people walking with huge wooden masks and making loud noises, and they project these horrifying and scary images on the wall, and they tell them what to do, and it's not real. And I call it today Plato's man cave, instead of the cave. Plato's cave is Plato's man cave, and everybody has the man cave, and they all want a big TV. And a lot of people say, oh well, I just watch sports, I watch funny things. They do it through that. You don't have to watch the news to be programmed to your regularly scheduled programming, which is interesting in itself. They always talked about tonight's programming. And what's the programming? You program a computer, you program an idea, a thought, a way of thinking about things. And man, this has been ongoing. There's other societies that have used this. Hitler's Nazi regime, they were masters at this.
Oh yeah, the old black and white footage and movies of the propaganda of Hitler, where, excuse me, they beautifully had people marching with rakes and shovels and picks. So even though they didn't have enough guns at the time, just that whole view of these people marching with something that could be utilized as a weapon is pretty traumatic to watch. And as you were just talking about their verbiage and their wording, Disney right now, what is their greatest little cliche they say right now? Capturing your imagination. Capturing your imagination. Why? Why are they capturing our imagination? Because they want to entertain you, detain you, so something can enter. And my another movie is called Monsters Inc. And this is a movie that is specifically for kids. But the premise of the movie is that in the closet world where the monsters live, and they utilize the closet, the portal, to go back and forth from their world into our world, where they scare the children, and they have the ability to bottle this scream, and the scream is utilized to power Monster World. And all of a sudden they find out that, oh, I'm sorry, I might do some spoilers here, so I apologize.
Stop. How can you do a spoiler on a movie that's like 10 years old? Just go for it.
Well, I know it's like, well, if you miss it, I can't say I feel really bad because I didn't see it either. But anyway, Monsters Inc., they find out at the end that oh my gosh, if you make the child laugh and giggle, it was exponential rate of power comparatively to the scream. And this goes back to my thoughts that it is easier for you to make somebody fear you than to love you. Because in order for somebody to love you, you have to love them too. And we are so fearful to love each other because of the fear of rejection or not being accepted. And this is basically the ideology of that. You've heard me and Phoenix say many times in the past, stay out of the fear because they want you there.
Yeah, exactly. They want people fearful. And you know what you were saying, the slogan from Disney right now, capture your imagination. You know, we talk about manifestation. We talk about the power of the mind, power of prayer, of hope and of love. And I tell you what, that power within you, that's what faith is, man, is imagination. Because faith is believing in something unseen. Now, the only way you can believe in something unseen is to imagine it in your mind and to create your reality and to create the way you want things to be. You have to vividly see it in your mind's eye. You have to feel it. You have to really, really feel it and feel gratitude for it, feel the emotion for it. That's your imagination. Faith is imagination, and feeling this faith and feeling it is the secret to it. That's the secret key to really feeling it. And for them to say they want to capture your imagination is them saying, we want to capture your ability to create your own reality and the way you want things to be, and we're going to capture it, and we will guide you to the direction we want you to go, and we'll do that by capturing your imagination and your thoughts.
Well, now that I'm blind, they have audio descriptions, and it is mind-boggling when you hear these audio descriptions explain the symbology. An example is when the Universal logo comes up. It says a pyramid-looking mountain.
Oh,
That's
pyramid.
how it starts. It says a pyramid-looking mountain, and I never that never caught my I never caught that before. Out of all the times that I saw it, I didn't, but then all of a sudden they tell me distinctively a pyramid mountain. And this is where you get into the iconography or the symbolism within the movies, where they literally put symbols in there that would reference evil or Satan or Lucifer or just bad juju.
Well, I tell you what, and how long has it been since you've been able to see clearly enough?
It'll be 10 years this December.
Oh my God, dude! If you could see videos, the videos that are the music videos are off the hook with symbology, you'd be like freaking out. I mean, the big thing is the, circle around the eye, which is like all-seeing eye, and the Illuminati symbolism, the forming of the pyramid with the hand and looking through it with one eye, all this stuff. And, this is really, they're capturing the mind of the youth and some adults by doing this. Lady Gaga, who's huge on this symbology in her videos and is well known for this Illuminati type of symbology. Just recently, 5 presidents came together to do something with Hurricane Harvey, or steal money or something, I guess. And it was the 2 Bushes, Pappy Bush and the other Bush and Clinton and Obama was there, and I think Jimmy Carter, and they were all there, and they did a photo shoot with Lady Gaga. Behind them was Lady Gaga. Now, that in itself was odd. Like, she was behind them, like, okay, that's very weird. Now, today, there's been a campaign that came out is with Joe Biden, who's known as, and I wish you could have seen this stuff. There's like multiple videos of him out there, like, caressing very young children. It's just like creepy as heck. And just like, they call him like, the Pedo Joe. And he is sitting in a chair. Lady Gaga is standing behind him with her arm around him. And they have come together to fight, like sexual, people who've been sexually abused or support them or something. It was very bizarre, but they're using this Illuminati symbol of this Lady Gaga with all these presidential figures. And what I told Lake was, I think what they're doing is accentuating that, yes, we are the Illuminati, and yes, we are the ones at the top. And here is the symbolic little Illuminati queen behind us.
Oh yeah, I absolutely believe how they will use every and any possible inkling or ideology or whatever you can imagine to push their agenda along. And I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite because all of a sudden when my daughter will ask me if she can go watch an episode of something, and I'll be distracted in doing something else, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, she just watched like 3 episodes, and it'd be like, okay, that's enough. And I remember as a child, and I was a total television baby. That was one of my babysitters, was the TV. And I remember sitting in front of that TV, and my dad would call it the boob tube. And he would be like, Kevin, and you just were in a trance. And I find myself doing the same thing with my daughter when she's watching these episodes. And then when you hear the content, it just, some of them are like, okay, that's the last time you can watch that one. Nope, I don't dig that one.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just get amazed on where they go. Prime example, My Little Ponies. My Little Pony is so dark and twisted. They're talking about like dimensional beings coming back and forth to rule Ponyville, and it's just, you know, with a grain of salt, it's snicker snicker, ha ha, chuckle chuckler. But then when you step back and you look at the plausibilities, the possibilities of interdimensional travel or dimensional tearing, where entities are coming back and forth through the veil. They're conditioning these kids, you know, and it's just blatant in all of the facets. Another movie that I'm going to throw out there is called People I Know, with Al Pacino, or excuse me, Robert, oh geez, no, it is Al Pacino. Forgive me. People I Know. Al Pacino's character is a guy who is kind of a fixer or a helper to get things right, and he gets into the seedy elitist where they have their parties. And a piggyback movie is Eyes Wide Shut. This is another Kubrick film that a lot of people claim that 40-some minutes were taken out of the movie, and Kubrick died because he revealed too much of what these elitists do in the back rooms.
Oh yeah, Eyes Wide Shut showed satanic ceremonies, the entire thing, of like the elites and Hollywood, and they do this stuff, man. There's actually a film clip out there on, I believe it's a film clip, and it was out on YouTube. I was an actress, Angelina Jolie, and she is actually talking to somebody about something that happened to her, where they basically did a ritual to her and they sexually abused her. It was filmed and there were multiple people there. And it was one of the people that was talking to her during this video was there and saw it. And she was talking about, I think they were kind of high or something when they were talking. And she was talking about all the pictures. She goes, "You wouldn't believe the pictures I have of people and what they're doing." Of famous people. What they do is they get these famous people, these actors and actresses, in these extremely compromised positions, and they do it through peer pressure and whatever they want to do it, and they photograph it and film it, and then they give them the photographic evidence of all of this, but also of other people. So they all have the dirt on each other. It's like a big, like, hey, look, you are a very evil person who've done these horrible things, and we have proof of it, but they all have proof of each other. So it's almost like, they've blackmailed everyone there. It's really weird. It's a bizarre thing, but it's real. You can literally go on YouTube and find this. For our listeners, during one of the breaks, I'll see if I can find the name of it. But this stuff is real, and Stanley touched upon this, and like you said, shortly thereafter, he was no longer on Earth.
Well, and it's so easy just to go to YouTube and type in Hollywood satanic rituals, and you'll get thousands and thousands of examples where people are breaking it down and just slapping us in the face with it. I remember when the Lord of the Rings came out, and in the second Lord of the Rings, towards the beginning of the movie, it's when they reintroduced Bilbo and Samwise in their journey to Mount Doom. And they showed this cave that has a very distinct pyramid or triangle top to it and a partial triangle bottom, but right at the bottom point of the triangle, it's broken off, like a big chunk broke off and it's on the ground. And as they zoom in, once you get to this point where all of a sudden you can distinguish the compass and the square etched into the wall of the cave, and then it quickly flips to the reverse view of Frodo and Sam, and then there's another pyramid of light out of the cave at the top. Then all of a sudden Gollum pops his head down, but it's not his full head. It's from the side view, so all you see right in the apex of the pyramid is his eye. And then he turns his head to the camera.
Okay, now what movie is this? Which?
This is the second Lord of the Rings. When
Okay.
they reintroduce Samwise and Frodo on their, they've captured Gollum, and Gollum has taken them through the quicker way, the back way to Doom. And it's when they reintroduce their journey. And it's about, I want to say about 15 minutes into the movie, maybe 10 minutes into the movie. And they start with coming through a clearing up to a cave. And then you'll see distinctly that the cave, if it was in its full form, would be a diamond shape. But the bottom point of the diamond has been knocked off, like the brick or the wall of the cave has just dissolved and fell. But then as you get a little bit closer, you can see etched into the wall that there's a compass and a square.
Wow.
And it's that blatant that they do this. And this brings me to the next movie. It's called From Hell with Johnny Depp, where it talks about Jack the Ripper and the plausibility that Jack the Ripper actually were ritual Masonic lodge murders.
Wow, I've never heard that twist before. Interesting. Go on with that. See what?
Okay, so
let me check our time here real quick. Yeah, we got 7 minutes. Roll.
Okay, so the character Johnny Depp is this inspector based on the true inspector, and forgive me for not recalling his name, but he's going through investigating the murders, these heinous murders, and as you go through it, they specifically show supposedly Masonic lodge members in ritual, and they show the compass and square multiple times. They show the G, they show the Masonic rings, and at one point they go to Cleopatra's Needle. Now there are 3 huge Cleopatra needles that were all like triplicates. One of them is in London, the other one is in St. Peter's Square, and the third one is in New York. And when you see the obelisk or the penis of Osiris in movies, that is a blatant in your face of the conditioning. Because if you look at the pyramid and the Washington Monument, it shows you where at the tip of the pyramid are the elitists, and as it gets to the point of the base, all of that base is our death stacked upon itself that the elitists rise above on the pinnacle. And going off subject a little bit, the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. is 550 feet above ground, and its base is 111 feet below ground for a grand total of 666 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Do you remember the earthquake that happened that actually shook Washington, D.C.? There's a magnitude 5. We felt it. I actually, because I'm here on the East Coast, dude, we felt it. We were working together, and Blake looks up. She goes, "What was that?" And I felt it. I said, "That's an earthquake." And let's see, August 25th, 2011. Oh, yeah. And magnitude 5 point. And the point is, and the reason I'm bringing this up, the Washington Monument was cracked. There were people inside, and it actually had to be closed for months as they repaired the structure because the obelisk itself was cracked. And not only that the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., there are angels at the top of it, that actually fell from the top of the cathedral and smashed into the ground.
Oh, yeah, and a great documentary is called Riddled in Stones, and it talks about the whole setup, as we talked about the Druids and Hollywood, kind of the same task went into the design of the whole Washington setup. And just like you said with the actors, how they get them in lewd and heinous situations, and then they film each other. It's the same thing they do in Washington disease. They bring in all of these senators and mayors, and they bring in the most beautiful and expensive prostitutes from around the world, and they throw it out there and hoping something sticks, because the minute something sticks, click, click goes the cameras, and TMZ is all willing to share that information with you.
Oh man, the really hot stuff TMZ never gets, because there was God, years ago, I can't remember the name of a guy. It was a private investigator who had someone come to him. There was a plane crash, and this plane crash happened out in middle America somewhere, and it was like a single engine plane, and it was a guy who was flying somewhere, and he had a briefcase, and some of the first people on the scene, the briefcase had smashed open like a suitcase, and it was full of photographs. And this was back in the early 70s, and it was full of all these photographs of famous people and politicians doing engaging in pedophilia, if you will. And it was blackmail photos. And they determined all this was real, and these photos were real, and the people were handling these and trying to get anything done with them. They were basically silenced. They were killed or whatever. But yeah, they blackmail one another with all of this stuff. I mean, horrible things. That's why you have politicians stand up and say the craziest things and make themselves look like fools and do things. And you're like, why in the world would they do that? It's because they're being told to, or guess what? Look what we just found. Oh man, we don't want this to go public. Yeah, we can take care of this for you, but you need to do this for us. Blackmail. That's what they do. And that's what they do to Hollywood. And that's our topic tonight, Hollywood and how they control the media. But this is a big web, Ney Sey. It's Hollywood, it's music industry, it's politicians, it's the news, it's television. It's all of those, the few, and they truly are, compared to all of us, they're the few who would control the many, those who would control the minds of the masses for their own doing and bidding, and to make themselves wealthier and more powerful. And it's sick, man. It's some sick stuff.
And do not forget to include at all sports.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, we can see the influence of that with the NFL and everything they have done, and the trying to control things politically and the minds of the masses. Oh yeah. Anyway, we're rolling up on a break here again, everyone. Don't go away. I'll search for some info. So when we come back from break and give you guys some heads up on some pretty hot leads you can follow to see and hear some of this for yourself. So you don't have to take our word for it. You can find it and look at it yourself from some famous Hollywood people. And I know NeSe has a lot more he wants to share with us about the movies and stuff and his favorites and symbology of all of this. It is a deep, deep rabbit hole. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away.
Hello, YouTube. I hope you're well. Spotlight.
You must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome to Phoenix Rising Radio. Now is the time to lift your mind higher. Now is the time to rise above. I am your host, Phoenix, and welcome to tonight's broadcast.
And welcome back, everyone, to Phoenix Rising Radio here this evening on Truth Frequency Radio, where truth is premier. I hope you're a supporter of the truth. If you're not, go over to truthfrequencyradio.com and look for Phoenix Rising Radio listener page. Find out how you can support the truth. And when you do, when you give your support to truthfrequencyradio.com for the truth, you will gain access high definition downloads of this program and all the other wonderful shows and fantastic hosts right here on Truth Frequency Radio. And don't forget, you can listen to us in all types of formats right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. You can listen live that way, or recorded by the podcast through the high definition downloads, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, different ways. So there's always a way that you can access the truth and these fantastic programs available right here at TFR. Now, before we went to break, I was telling everyone about some of these people who have admitted to this. And I said I'd do some searching. I did. Success. If you want to find and see this for yourself and hear it from a Hollywood star yourself, just go over to YouTube and put in Angelina Jolie admits to Illuminati sacrifice in video. And she actually talks about a sexual ritual and satanic Illuminati sacrifice that she attended. And this was a film that was done. Someone videotaped her. And it's her talking. I mean, it's not CGI. It's not just, this isn't speculation. It's her actually talking about it. And there's other people in the room with her, and they're admitting to this. And here's the thing. This thing is out there. And I don't know if it's just got out and they couldn't control it, or they really don't care. It's gotten to the point now they really don't care because, Ney Sey, if you could have seen some of the things recently, some of the music people, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, blatant Satanism right on the screen, at sports events. You were talking about sports. And, some of the biggest Illuminati rituals that we've ever seen have been at the Super Bowl and at the Olympics, particularly, and a lot of these huge venues where they have millions and millions of viewers. And they put these things on, and basically give praise to the Illuminati and these satanic forces right in front of everyone. And people just lap it up.
Oh, absolutely. And I apologize to the audience that I'm pulling out some movies of the past, but I think these movies of the past are a little bit easier to find and cheaper than having to purchase. Well, I do not recommend that you do anything that is illegal. You must suffer the consequences on all actions that you do. However, there are means and motives of watching all of these different movies. But a couple movies I'm going to throw out there really quick. These are new movies that I haven't seen, but just by watching them with friends and listening to the audio description, I can say, pause the movie, and then I'll say, now look for any kind of symbolism, and I'll explain stuff. And sure enough, just by hearing the dialogue and some of the audio description, I can pick out where they're having these product placements of their agenda. A few recent of my favorite ones is Transcendence, another Johnny Depp movie, and Lucy. And the third one is Jupiter Rising. Or no, Jupiter Ascending. My bad. All three of these movies are great for that little oomph in the breadbasket of what are they really doing. But going back again, one of the most twisted that I absolutely believe in is a movie with Nicolas Cage called 8 Millimeter. The story is Nicolas Cage is a private investigator, and a very wealthy widow opens up her husband's safe and finds an 8 millimeter reel where a woman is
Yo, are you there? Hello, Ney Sey, are you there? We seem to have lost Ney Sey. Wonder what's going on here. Bear with me. Let's see if we can bring him in here. Looks like his call was dropped. He did say they were having some storms and some different things going on. Let's see if we can bring him back. I had some odd computer things happen here at the same time. Let's see if we can get him back in. Yeah, he was lost from our studio here. Get him back in here. There we go. You back, Ney Sey?
I'm back. That was another bizarre happening there. What was the last thing you caught?
The last thing I caught, and it was really weird in where you drop. You said, and the wealthy widow opened her husband's safe and found, and that was the end of it.
Okay, so she finds an 8 millimeter reel that is a snuff movie. A snuff movie is when somebody is ritually abused and murdered on film. And Nicolas Cage's character is hired to find out, is this real or not? And so he gets into the seedy underworld of pornography and that. And the allegation is that when you are filthy rich and you have $1 billion in your bank account, a little peck on the cheek or a little intimacy with your wife is no big deal if you have the money to run your facial recognition programs over Facebook and set it to the type of person you like and say, oh yeah, this Susan, I would like her next Thursday between 10 and 12. And can you have her just slightly drugged? This is what I'm afraid of are what the elitists are doing. This is what I believe.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Before we came on this evening, literally right before I went in and got everything set in the studio, I was watching a video that someone had sent me. They are saying that people in, I believe it's Michigan, are missing. Entire families are coming up missing, and women and children. And it happens all over the United States, but this is more so happening there, and nobody's talking about it. And a guy is saying that his wife and his daughter were almost abducted, and they named the type of vehicle it happened. It was at a Target store, and a lot of these people have gone missing at Target stores. And there are these vehicles that are snagging people, and not just like a young girl. They're like getting a woman and her children, or like entire families. And this is going on right now, and nobody's talking about it. So what you just said, your fear is that this will happen, and this is human trafficking. This is trafficking is what's going on.
Oh, absolutely. There's a gentleman, a conspiracy or a truth seeker by the name of Ted Gunderson. He has made the proclamation.
Stop right there. Again, you're freaking me out, because I'm pretty sure he's the guy that used to talk about this plane that crashed that had all of those photographs in it. It was Gunderson. It was him originally that started talking about this stuff. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Ted Gunderson has made the claim that he believes at least a third of the missing people that happen are being ritually used for ceremonies and sacrifices. And I wouldn't doubt that whatsoever. And it breaks my heart to think what can push a person to this point, where all of a sudden we get these Son of Sam murders, and these new type of impulse murders where people are just like a switch. He seemed normal most of his life, and for some reason a switch gets flipped and he's doing some kind of heinous serial killing act. And this brings me to the other movies. This is a series. It's called Hostel, and it's about people traveling around Europe, and they check into these hostels.
Oh, that one. I saw the original Hostel. I did see that one, yes.
Oh, good. And travelers would check into a hotel or the hostel, and all of a sudden they would disappear and find themselves in a warehouse in a room where elitists would come in, and they would get to kill people how their little hearts desire.
Yeah, dude, they're saying that Hostel, based upon true story and true locations. Yeah, and I believe it. There's weird stuff out there, and it's happening. It's kind of a creepy thing to talk about, but again, Halloween's coming up, and if you're going to talk about this stuff, might as well bring it up now. And it's true. That's the sad part of this. We're not talking about fantasy. We're not talking about, movies here. We're talking about they have drifted over into the reality. And you know what? Going back to the whole movie, how they were manipulating society, I believe these horrific films like Hostel, and you can go back, there's a whole lot of them that they go back through the years, have almost like instigated this, like laid the seeds for it. And I wonder, the men and women who wrote these and acted and directed them, if not, it was more of an expose, kind of like a autobiography, some of these things.
Yes, and with that being said, comes to the next movie called Wolf of Wall Street, where it's Leonardo DiCaprio. This is a newer movie where he is in Wall Street and buying and selling on the market, becomes filthy, filthy rich, and just gets into the debauchery that he can. And I've made the joke that The Wolf of Wall Street was nothing but a day in the life of Leonardo DiCaprio, because I'm pretty sure there wasn't much acting in this movie compared to his real life.
Yeah, you're probably right with that. Just came to mind, there was something I read a few months ago about a club. I believe there's one in out in LA, one in New York, and somewhere. It's a sex club that people can actually go to and have all types of weird, kinky sex and stuff. But you have to be a member of the club. That's how they get around the prostitution thing. It's like a private membership club. And membership is like crazy amount of money. It's like $100,000 a year or some crazy thing. And there are CEOs from major corporations who are, members of this, and Hollywood people and all of this from these clubs. And there are these exclusive kinky sex clubs that these people join, which is just really bizarre. You're looking at this Weinstein character out in Hollywood, all these allegations against him and these other directors that's coming out, and all these perversions and just bizarre things are doing, and forcing themselves on women and men too, I guess, and children, obviously. The first thing that I think is like, what the heck? What the heck is wrong with these people? And number two, if they're that wealthy and successful, why would they have to force themselves on anyone? And I'm telling you, it's demonic, dude. It's demonic. I know you're not big into the standard Christian philosophy philosophy, but I'm telling you right now, it's freaking demons. It's demonic.
Oh, absolutely. I have made the claim that if this person is not a demon, then they're possessed by one, because I brought it up before. The Anishinaabe people, they were called the Ojibwe, which meant to pucker. And if you hurt innocence, if you did something against innocence, they would take a bear hide and lean it up against the fire and let the fat of the bear start simmering and boiling and blistering, and they would wrap you up into this. And I'd love for them to bring this back, because nothing will get me more sick to my stomach than to think about these Hollywood elitists and the allegations that they are purposely to get married and have children, not only for these rituals, but to perpetuate the whole Hollywood. And a huge guilty factor is Disney. There was a movie called RKO, and it was about Orson Welles trying to get his movie done about William Randolph Hearst. And William Randolph Hearst got hold of all of the movie moguls, all the different, Warner Brothers and whatnot, got them all together, and Disney wasn't there. And the character says, "Where the hell is Walt? Why isn't he here? Get him on the phone right now, or I'll make sure he never has any more children again."
Whoa.
And this is a big old, the allegations of Walt Disney being part of the pederast is blatantly there. And as you talk about like Satanism and stuff like that, another iconography or symbolism, Warner Brothers logo. It's a shield with the letter W and the letter B. Now W is 3 6s. The 2 V's touching together make a third inverted V, and that's 6 in the Hebrew. And the letter B, if you separate the straight line from the 2 curves, what number do you have, Phoenix?
3.
Well, 13.
I'm thinking, dude, that's kind of a stretch. and then if you kind of squint your eyes this way,
but if you take the letter B and you pull it apart, so it's a 1 and a 3, the 13.
Yes, 13. That's correct.
And this is the little things that I absolutely believe that these powers that should not be get in their little delight and their glee to be like, oh, look at how the release. I predict right now that the release of the new Star Wars movie on December is going to be released on the actual solstice.
That may be.
And
now, when you say
that,
you're not talking about the calibrated solstice, am I correct in that?
Well, I'm not talking about the calendar solstice. I'm talking about if you calculate, and I brought this up before about keep an eye on the new moons now, or right after the new moon. As soon as you start seeing that toenail moon, start watching where the toenail starts each month, because you're going to see a shift in it as it goes around the circle, around the cycle, and there's more to it, and then you get daylight savings where you lose an hour. So they're already screwing up our calculation by taking an hour away from us. So you have to calculate that in to the sunrise and the sunset.
Well, here's the question I have about daylight savings, which, by the way, this year is November 4th in North America. What's the proper time? Is the time correct before? I mean, in the spring? I mean, when we go to November 4th and we fall back, and take an hour away. Is that actually the real time that we're supposed to be on? And then what happens? We're on the real time all winter. Then comes spring, and we spring forward, and we mess it up. Then, I don't.
This is the beauty of the powers that shouldn't be, that they can keep us out of sync with the grander cycles. Just imagine how more synchronistically life would be if we were in sync with the greater cycles.
Oh, yeah. To be in sync with the greater cycles, though, we would not have a 12-month year. We'd have a 13-month year.
Well, absolutely. And here we go with that 13, because when Osiris was cut up, how many pieces was he cut up? 13. You have 2 feet, 2 shins, that makes 4, 2 thighs, that makes 6, 2 hands, 8, 4 arms, 10, biceps, triceps, that's 12. And then the male generative force, 13. So you can cut off 13 parts of a man and still he will be alive. And you can still torture him. But the death blow is the 14th, which is the head. And why this month is there 14 new moons, or this year, 14 new moons and 14 full moons this year?
I did not know that. I was not aware that this year, this Gregorian calendar, there are 14 full moons and 14 new moons. I did not know that.
Well, and this goes with the indigenous people say, keep an eye to the heavens, because the answers are there. The answers are in the kingdoms of the heavens. And if you just look at the greater clock and you take the time to recognize the cycles, then you can pretty much predict the future. Why else do these elitists continue to search for ancient knowledge? They keep stealing these ancient cuneiforms, and then they keep putting out these movies that will literally distract you. And one of the biggest themes about all of these movies is some type of celestial point of time or some grand moment that shall occur that's going to be the precursor to some kind of major destruction.
Mm-hmm. And they do that. Speaking of, right now, we have Jupiter is transiting the Chiron point, expanding the wounded healing teaching theme and the money theme between October 24th and 28th. And the Sun will conjunct Jupiter today, October 26th. We have the Sun conjuncting Jupiter. So this day is particularly highlighted, and Jupiter will be discharging the 04 Scorpio, which is a youth holding a lighted candle in devotional ritual, which is significant that the Illuminati will be busy. So, the energetics are right there. And like you said, they use them. And right now, this very day and these times, they are beginning to pick up the ritualistic pace. So be advised, people.
Well, that great saying that I always joke about, now is the time. Time is an illusion, and there is no now, because when you say now, it's already passed. And so now has just passed again. So how can you be in the now? It's like the philosophy of when you step, time is like that river that you step into, that you shall never step into the same water again.
That is true, and it's continually passing by and moving around and flowing. Amazing stuff, amazing times, amazing energies. And to see these energies and to realize this and everything we've been talking about tonight, we have another segment here in a few minutes after we come back from break. Everything we've been talking about tonight is building to a crescendo. This is a battle, man. We are in a battle of good versus evil. And what is happening is there is a revealing, if you will, of exactly who's on what side. And people are going to have to choose sides, which side you're going to be on, which principle are you going to stand for, which things will you no longer stand for. What are you going to do about it? I mean, these are questions we have to ask ourselves and be aware of. Anyway, we're going to a break right now. We will be back. Don't go away.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
No hate, no hype, no fear. Real people, real radio.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Yeah, everybody look what's going down. We are back, our last segment here. And what's going down is the cabal. What's going down are the old control systems, the archonic, demonic systems that thought through their manipulation, through their media, through the movies, through the music, through whatever means they could, thought they had total control over the public. But guess what? They do not quite have the control they thought that they did. They do not have the support that they think they do. Now, they have garnered a lot, and there are a lot of people out there that are just, Ney Sey, what would you say about the people who have totally engrossed themselves in the lie of Hollywood, of television, of the media and music? And again, I just want to clarify to everyone, there's good music, there's good movies, there's good stuff, but there is a huge element that wants to control the minds of the masses. What would you say about the people that have bought in and become part of that lie?
Bob, black sheeple, have you any soul? No, sir, just a gaping hole.
Oh man, that's good. A hole. We were talking about a rabbit hole earlier. I said that's a deep rabbit hole. Just a heads up to everyone, a little public service announcement. There is a virus. It is a ransomware virus out there, and it's not rabbit. It's not rubber rabbit. It is called Bad Rabbit. And this bad rabbit is infecting computers all around. It's supposed to really take hold. Do not, be advised, do not do any Adobe updates to your computer. If you get a flash that comes up, bing, you need to update your Adobe. No. Don't do that. Don't press that dial. Don't do that, because you could get Bad Rabbit. Also, any emails you get with strange links or anything odd, don't click on it. If you don't know them, if you don't know the people, if you don't know what it's about, do not open that file ever, because Bad Rabbit's coming, and that Bad Rabbit, I think, is going to lead people down some dark rabbit holes.
Oh, absolutely. And in all of this discussion of movies and everything, the last movie franchise I'm going to say for the night, as far as my favorite goes, doesn't go with horror, but the iconography and symbolism, is the Star Wars movies. Absolutely brilliantly in your face. If you look at the very first Star Wars movie trailer and you see all of the characters, they're all stacked in a perfect pyramid with Luke raising up his lightsaber and it twinkling right up at the apex where the eye is. And then if you remember that first, those words started coming across the screen, and then they scrolled into what form? A triangle. And then that first image of the space, and then this big white triangle. And then all of a sudden you get the big square, the golden square, the huge battleship. And then you start seeing the sphere and the Death Star. The iconography and symbolism throughout the Star Wars franchise is just blatantly in your face, not only on the physical, mental, emotional, but the spiritual. Because now as the franchise continues, it's about people being able to shift back and forth dimensionally from beyond the grave.
How about that? Carrie Fisher's dead. Died this year. Or was it last year? Carrie Fisher passed away?
Yes. Beyond the grave. Beyond the grave, where ironically all of the scenes that were absolutely needed by Carrie Fisher were filmed, but there's claims now and allegations that now these Hollywood stars go in and get a three-dimensional representation of themselves done with these high-definition cameras, and they don't even have to show up to work anymore because they have a stunt double with a green screen head on, and it's just computerly attached the head.
Oh, that's more than a claim. They actually tried. There was a group in Hollywood that tried to get protection from that because they all did that, and then they realized, like, we're out of a job. They don't even need us anymore. They can do that.
Which brings us to a movie called Scanners that just reminded me one that I forgot. It's called Scanners. That is, and a very another twisted one on the same realm is Videodrome. Videodrome is a very twisted one, and it has some very adult innuendos in it, hardcore innuendos, but it goes back into the debauchery of the whole Hollywood and the media. And with all of this talking, there's one thing that you all can do to escape it, and it's really simple. Unplug.
Click.
Just unplug.
Turn it off.
Just try for 1 hour. For 1 hour, say, I'm going to unplug from everything, and do something, read a book, put a puzzle together, play in the dirt, anything. Just unplug for an hour and then say, okay, in the next 3 days, I'm going to unplug for 2 hours. And make time to take time to be there. Because I love you best. Because you're not like the rest.
You're a poet, and he's a poet, and he don't know it.
Actually, that was a song. So.
Okay, that's really good. That's true. Also true to unplug, man. I tell you what, that is so important to daily do that. I mean, when was the last time you read a book, people? I mean, seriously. Get yourself a nice bookmark, get a book out you want to read, start reading it, take the time, unplug, get away from the computer. Working on the computer like I do and Lake does, we have to make time. And we're like, man, enough of that. It's like click, we turn it off, and we're not going to go there. And another thing here, dude, you're getting a kick out of this. My buddy Bama, I was communicating with him recently, and anyway, he would send me links, or we would see. It's like, oh my God, man, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, I saw that. Oh, like, well, what did you think of this and this? And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't watch it. I didn't look at the pictures of the video. He goes, but you said you saw it. I'm like, yeah, I saw the headline. He goes, well, you didn't watch the video? I'm like, no. Because I saw the headline. I mean, we can filter things, people. If you see something and the title's like, this is a really, 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 really bad thing that happened to this person, warning graphic. Okay, that's like a warning to you to not click on it. If you watch something that's horrific and it haunts you, and it will, everything that you bring into your being, into your mind, into your spirit affects affects you. And you have control over what you bring in. You don't have to watch everything. You don't have to expose yourself to these things. I don't do it. And
absolutely. And I'm sorry, but I'm glad you brought this up, because it has been scientifically proven that when they hook you up to electrodes in your brain and they have you watch a actual murder take place, like those movies, Faces of Death or whatever, and if you watch a cartoon murder, and if you watch a live animated or live action murder, or even hear the sounds of a murder, the same areas of your brain get stimulated. So it doesn't matter whether it's fake, imagination, or real. And this is the saddest part about this. I did not know the amount of desensitization that I was going through by being a truth seeker. And it has gotten me cold to a point sometimes where my friends are saying I'm just too analytical and too logical, because like you said, Phoenix, you filter these things out, and I try not to get ran over with my emotions. I try not to let my emotions control me, but in that change, I find myself to be, more logical and stuff like that. And when we talk about unplugging to all of this, just a couple weeks ago, me and the kids were playing charades. A simple game of charades. And we had adults there, and as soon as everybody just got into it, we were laughing hysterically, and it was just an incredible time. And it just made me think about last week when we were talking about, where's my stick in a hoop?
Yeah.
Where is that simple laughter, simple joy?
Mm-hmm. And it's so true. And that's what this has all done to us. This is what Hollywood, because it was Hollywood and the movies, because the Hollywood movies were out there. I mean, radio was there. You had, I'm a big fan of old radio. Love it, because it made people think. It made people intellectually visualize things. I mean, it was intellectually stimulating. Television's not, because you don't have to you don't have to engage your mind's eye when there's television, because you're hearing things and they give the image for you, and it almost puts you in a hypnotic state. The movies have done this, and I actually think the old silent films didn't do that, because because they were silent. You had to read what they were saying. It was your mind was active. But what they have done by taking the images, and God only knows what type of electronic subsets they have coming through, the audio and visual, and then the visual to go with it, it puts you in like a zombie state, and they can control you and throw these images into your mind, and socially and spiritually change you. They really can. But we can take that back. You don't have to be held captive to that. We've talked about this before. You go around, you see people walking down the street, and their face is looking at their phone. They're just like obsessed with it. We were out the other day somewhere, and they mentioned this. Like, I was watching someone who had like a dinner. He was like eating out, and the whole time he was on his phone, and he was like texting and talking, and it's like, dude, you even realize you just were out for dinner, or were you somewhere else? Where's your head?
And if any of our listeners have any knowledge about getting a home dampening device to where I could like just flip a switch and I know it will just shut off, the ability for people utilizing their phones in my home, please send it to themegaphoneman@gmail.com, because there's nothing more irritating to me than when I'm blind and you're having a conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden you ask a question or you're waiting for a response, and then all of a sudden you get like this, I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone.
Yeah,
You know,
all the time.
or the little tick, 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 tick. When you can hear people clicking and tapping and, you know, getting on the phone.
Yeah.
So unplug.
Yeah, unplug. You know, I cannot stress how important it is to unplug. It really is for your health, for your mental health, for your spiritual health, and your physical health. Get outside, ground, take your shoes off. It's warm. Put your feet on the ground. Get by some water. You know, see a tree, hug a tree, identify a tree. Get fascinated with nature. Do a hobby. Build something. Make something. Learn something. You know, it's so important for our society and for you individually.
And next week it's Halloween, so have fun with it and be the light in it. And I'm slotted to be on next Tuesday. Are we going to be on, Phoenix?
Sure, why not? It's not like I'm going to be out trick or treating or anything, dude. I mean, if you want to,
you know what?
Do a show, we can.
I couldn't find my costume, and I'm a little upset about it. This year, I bought this super cheesy, I think kind of stereotypic, horrific Native American buckskin fake costume with a full-on headdress and everything. And I got a blanket that's stamped with a iron-on that says property of U.S. Cavalry. And I take these bullet holes and I put them all over my face, and I make a mixture of fake blood and Elmer's glue with yellow number 5 in it. So it looks like I have these open sores and pus, and I go as a Native American with smallpox.
Wonderful. How sweet. Man, how what a wonderful, wonderful little costume you have there. Oh my goodness. Oh man. I can't remember the last time I had a Halloween costume. Oh my God. Let me think. Oh man, I'm thinking. Yeah, I was like 10 years old. I can't even remember. I don't remember. We used to love Halloween though. And I've been to a lot of Halloween parties. And did I go in a costume? Ooh, man, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever done the costume thing as an adult. I really don't think I have.
If you were to come to our home, you would see our living room and dining room is filled with skulls and webbing and this, that, and the other thing, and spooky this and spooky that. And we got our gravestones out in the yard. And I do look at it as the whole fun and the joy of it. And you absolutely better believe that my kids know about the iconography and the symbology of it. And so they're not being brainwashed. And that's the biggest thing. You know, if you're going to have your kids participate in it, be honest with them. Be honest with them, because every time you lie to your children means they're going to be lying back to you.
Yeah, so true. And they'll lose faith in what is real. You know, one thing I do love about Halloween, and I usually try to do every year, is carve a jack-o'-lantern. But, you know, I wait until close to Halloween because they get cheaper. Once they realize it's like almost Halloween and no one's bought pumpkins, you know, they're cheaper. And I don't know, man. I just love carving a jack-o'-lantern. And they're usually like not the real intricate, you know, crazy ones. They're just like the basic jack-o'-lantern. And throw the candle in it. I've always loved that since I was a kid. And as an adult, I still love it. And
do you toast the seeds?
Yeah, I always toast the seeds.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I toast the seeds, and they usually, I think I've got a mason jar of them somewhere around here, but they usually get tossed because I'm the only one that eats them. And yeah, I toast the seeds, And that's what I like. I like the jack-o'-lantern. That's old. That's old school right there because, like I was saying, that goes all the way back to the Celtic days of hollowing out a turnip. The a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern is very North American. The original jack-o'-lantern was a small gourd or even a turnip that was carved out and with a very small candle in it, and that was sufficient.
It is incredible. Before I lost my sight, I remember they came out with these new carving tools of micro sizes and stuff, and the details that some of these pumpkins would get is just incredible. So, I mean, I can't imagine, I get into the pumpkins with my kids too, and I'll get my fingers all gross and full of the, just digging out that inside of the pumpkin. And it gets all sticky and you find seeds everywhere.
Yeah, pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. And it's really good. That's like my favorite sweet, I think, is pumpkin pie. And, they have pie pumpkins. A lot of people really get into it. That's squash and pumpkins. It's a very North American thing,
Well, next Thursday, Phoenix, I am going to, I plan on being here. I have the kids and they'll be out trick-or-treating. But next Thursday,
Tuesday.
I think, or next Tuesday, my bad, I am going to share, if it's okay with you, some of my ghost stories.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I've got ghost stories, too. Yeah, you want to do ghost stories? We will talk ghost stories. I have some. And things that I have experienced, supernatural experiences. Yeah, I've got a lot of them through my life. I have been face-to-face with people that weren't there quite a few times, and some of them from my past. So, yeah, that should be cool.
Absolutely. And again, Phoenix, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and to the listening audience, I hope I'm still doing right by you. If you have any challenges, please hit me up with an email, and please subscribe. If you go to tfrlive.com and you go to Phoenix and you subscribe from Phoenix's page, it gets him a few shekels, and it shows the appreciation that he's doing, because I really appreciate and respect you, Phoenix, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome, Ney Sey. It's you do a fantastic job, and you bring a lot to the program, a lot of information, and a lot of cultural things also, because many nights we talk about the different aspects of the American Native heritage, and what it means to everybody, what it means to you, firsthand experience, and other people, and people appreciate that. A lot of history in that. But anyway, yeah, next Tuesday, yeah, we'll do Halloween. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not, but we will do a Halloween show. And if anyone out there listening, if you're not out at a party or trick-or-treating, come hang with us, because we'll be talking about some stuff. We got to come up with some good things. I've got some good stories. And I know you got some good stories, and who knows, the way things are going in the world today, maybe we'll have some real freaking scary stuff to talk about just from the headlines.
I want Donald Trump to tweet his ghost picture.
Does he have his ghost picture? You know what? He's in the White House, man. The freaking White House is haunted. From what I hear, there are all kinds of crazy things that happen in the White House. And I can believe that because of all the satanic things that have happened there also.
Well, no doubt in my mind. And as we were talking earlier, with this billions and billions of dollars, what do these people do for enjoyment?
I know, man. I know. That's the thing. It's just crazy. It's just mind-boggling. They have everything they could desire, but they just take it to the extreme. Well,
I think what they do is they sit around on Tuesdays and Thursdays and they listen to Phoenix Rising.
They probably do. And they're probably like, how can we get this guy to shut up? How can we get him and NeSe to shut up? Anyway, we got a couple minutes here. We're rolling into the end of this. We will be back on Tuesday, everyone. And be sure and join us for our Halloween program. And that should be pretty cool. Like I said, I've got some pretty good stories to tell that maybe I'll tell some things I've never told before, because I've had some spiritual, some very unusual things happen, and I've witnessed that I don't think I've ever shared. Well, I know I've never shared them publicly, not on the air, that's for sure. And some of them are of the, ghost type. Some are like UFO type. We'll get into all that. What do you say, NeSe? We're going to do this?
Phoenix, why did the skeleton not go trick-or-treating?
Why did the skeleton not go trick-or-treating? I don't know why.
Because he didn't have any guts.
Oh, that's good. I've heard that before. I heard that when I was a kid. I totally forgot about it. That's good. I'm thinking like, I had to pick a bone about it, or.
Yeah. Thank you, Spheria, my youngest one, for that joke earlier today. It's been on my mind, and I had to share it with you, Phoenix. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And have a safe weekend. Respect each other, and respect the ghosts and goblins and ghouls. Blah, blah.
Blah, blah. Yeah. I tell you what, though, this whole thing, battle of good and evil, it's coming to a head. It's coming to an apex. And we are going to witness this. We all live in a wonderful and great time. Say no to fear. Do not be fearful of whatever they may try to make you fear, because they're trying to control you. And do not fall into that. Find someone you love. Tell them that you love them. And just know that that good things are coming to you and to those whom you love. That's it. We're out of here. Good night, everybody. God bless. And we'll be back on Tuesday. See you later, NeSe.
Toodles.
That's it, people. We're gone. Be safe.